High in the hills, far from the bustling cities and crowded streets, lay the quiet village of Manjupur. Here, life followed the rhythm of the sun, a timeless cycle that dictated the pace of every day. The rising sun signaled the start of activity, and its descent brought a peaceful close. Work at dawn, rest at dusk. The fields called to the farmers as the first light touched the horizon, and families gathered as the last rays faded. Among the green hills and amidst the simple homes lived Leela, a young girl with eyes full of dreams. She was a girl like any other in Manjupur, seemingly content with the familiar routines of village life. She spent her days helping her mother with the endless chores, weaving intricate patterns into colorful fabrics, her small hands learning the ancient art and fetching water from the well, a daily task that connected her to generations of women before her. Her family was loving, their home filled with warmth and laughter, but they were also deeply traditional, holding on to the customs that had shaped their lives for centuries. They believed with all their hearts that a good marriage, carefully arranged and blessed by the elders, was the best and only future for a daughter. It was the path well trodden, the safest route to happiness and security. For generations, the women of Manjupur had embraced this destiny. Women's lives here had followed the same path, a cycle of home, family, and tradition, with little room for individual dreams. But Leela's heart yearned for something different, a whisper of a possibility that tugged at her soul. At night, when the village was silent and the stars blazed in the inky sky, she gazed at them, lost in thought. She spent hours imagining worlds beyond her village, distant lands filled with wonders she could only dream of. She was intensely curious about how things worked, about the science and magic that made the world turn, not just in her home, but beyond the familiar walls of her simple dwelling. Her curiosity extended to the world, to the vast expanse of knowledge that lay hidden beyond the horizon. This burning curiosity, this thirst for knowledge, was her secret rebellion, a quiet act of defiance against the expectations that sought to define her. Manjupur was undeniably beautiful, a haven of peace and tranquility, but it was also isolated, cut off from the rapid changes sweeping the world. It was a place seemingly untouched by modern technology, where life moved at a slower, more deliberate pace. The nearest school, a place of learning and opportunity, was a long and arduous journey away, a challenge for any child with a thirst for knowledge. And computers, those magical gateways to information and connection, were unheard of, existing only as whispers from the outside world. For most in Manjupur, the world in all its vastness and complexity ended at the village's edge, at the boundaries of their familiar existence. But for Leela, with her unwavering spirit and boundless curiosity, it was just the beginning of her questions, the spark that ignited a fire within her soul. She felt caged by tradition, by the weight of expectations and the limitations of her surroundings, longing to see what lay beyond the familiar hills, to explore the world that beckoned her with its mysteries. Her dream was growing, quietly but steadily, fueled by her insatiable curiosity and unwavering determination. In the shadows of Manjupur, a seed of hope planted in the fertile ground of her heart. Leela's dream began with a tattered magazine left by a trader. Inside, she saw images of cities and read about software engineering, a way to build worlds with logic and code. The idea was intoxicating but impossible to share. In Manjupur, such dreams were dismissed as foolish. Leela kept her ambition hidden, knowing her family and friends wouldn't understand. While others prepared for marriage, she imagined herself coding in a city. Her dream was both hope and loneliness, a secret she clung to. Becoming a software engineer meant independence, a life she could shape herself. She didn't know how she'd get there, only that she had to try. This silent dream became her guiding force. Every day she lived for the possibility of something more. With no computer or internet, Leela's only resource was the town library, visited once a week. There she found old programming books, her sacred texts. Unable to borrow them, she copied pages by hand, filling notebooks with code and diagrams. At night she studied by oil lamp, whispering commands to herself. Coding became her secret language, a world she built on paper. She imagined her programs running, relying on logic and memory. The process was slow and lonely, but each small victory fueled her determination. Without a computer, she learned through discipline and imagination. Her notebooks became her compilers, her mind the only processor. Every error she caught was a triumph. In the stillness of night, her dream took shape line by line. As Leela blossomed into a young woman, the subtle whispers about her future transformed into a chorus of expectations. The pressure to marry, a constant undercurrent in her life, intensified with each passing day. It was as if an invisible clock was ticking, counting down to a destiny predetermined by generations of tradition. Her mother, with a loving heart but a firm belief in societal norms, spoke of potential suitors and the vibrant saris that would adorn her on her wedding day. Each sari, a symbol of a new beginning, also represented the end of her current life. A life Leela wasn't quite ready to leave behind. The fabrics whispered promises of marital bliss, but Leela heard only the echo of lost opportunities. Her father, a man torn between tradition and his daughter's happiness, worried that her dedication to her studies made her unsuitable for marriage in the eyes of the community. He feared that her education, once a source of pride, would now become a barrier to finding a suitable match. He saw the world changing, but worried it wasn't changing fast enough. Village elders, the guardians of tradition, advised her parents to act quickly before Leela's independent spirit became too deeply ingrained. They believed a woman's place was in the home, and that education should only serve to make her a better wife and mother. Educated girls, they warned, were hard to marry off in their traditional society. Their knowledge and ambition were often seen as a threat to the established order, a challenge to the patriarchal norms that had governed their lives for centuries. Leela's ambition, her burning desire to learn and achieve, was seen not as a dream to be nurtured, but as an act of defiance against the very fabric of her community. It was a challenge to the status quo, a rebellion against the expectations that had been placed upon her since birth. She loved her family deeply, cherishing the bonds that tied them together, but she couldn't abandon her own goals, her own aspirations for a life beyond the confines of tradition. The conflict tore at her heart, a constant battle between love and duty, between family and self. Every marriage proposal that arrived felt not like an opportunity for happiness, but like another chain being forged, binding her to a future she hadn't chosen. Each proposal was a reminder of the limited choices available to her, a stark contrast to the boundless possibilities she envisioned for herself. She listened politely to the discussions, nodding and smiling, but inside she yearned to escape. She found solace in her notebooks, losing herself in the world of knowledge, a world where she could be free to explore her potential without limitations. The pressure was relentless, a constant weight on her shoulders. Each proposal seemed more serious than the last, the families more eager to secure her hand in marriage. The stakes were rising, and Leela felt trapped in a game she didn't want to play. One wealthy family's expression of interest sent a wave of excitement through her parents. They saw it as a golden opportunity, a chance for Leela to secure a comfortable future and elevate their family's status within the community. But the news filled Leela with dread, a deep-seated fear that threatened to consume her. The prospect of marrying into wealth and privilege held no appeal. It only amplified the feeling of being trapped. She couldn't imagine giving up her dreams, sacrificing her education and resigning herself to a life she hadn't chosen for herself. The thought of abandoning her aspirations for a life dictated by tradition was unbearable. She desperately searched for a way to refuse the proposal without breaking her family's heart, without causing irreparable damage to the bonds that held them together. It was a delicate balancing act, a tightrope walk between her own desires and her family's expectations. Tradition weighed heavily upon her, a suffocating burden that threatened to crush her hope and extinguish the fire within. The weight of generations of expectations pressed down on her, threatening to suffocate her dreams. Yet, despite the immense pressure, she clung fiercely to her vision, to the dream of a life where she could be both true to herself and honor her family. Even as the world around her pushed back, she refused to let go of the hope that she could forge her own path. The battle she waged was silent, fought within the confines of her own heart and mind, but it was a fierce and unrelenting struggle for her very identity. It was a battle between tradition and modernity, between expectation and aspiration. Leela's spirit, though tested and strained, refused to yield. It was a testament to her inner strength, her unwavering determination to carve her own destiny in a world that seemed determined to define it for her. To protect her dream, Leela made sacrifices no one saw. She woke before dawn to study, gave up village festivals, and saved every rupee for notebooks. Her health suffered from long nights and endless chores. The loneliness was profound. Her victories and frustrations were hers alone. She pretended to be content, hiding her true self. The greatest pain was knowing she worried her family. Yet she pressed on, believing her path honored their love in a new way. Her sacrifices were acts of hope, not rebellion. She dreamed not just for herself but for a future her family couldn't yet imagine. One afternoon in the library, Leela was noticed by Professor Anand Sharma, a retired software engineering professor. He'd watched her for weeks, intrigued by her focus on technical books. Approaching gently, he commented on her old algorithm book. Leela, startled, tried to hide her notes, fearing trouble. But the professor was kind, asking about her studies. Hesitantly, Leela shared her story, her secret dream, her struggles, her hope. For the first time she spoke her ambition aloud. The professor listened, moved by her determination. He'd taught many students, but rarely seen such passion. In Leela, he saw a spark worth nurturing. He decided to help her. In that dusty library, her world began to change. A door to possibility opened. Professor Sharma became Leela's mentor, offering structure and support. He brought her modern programming books and met her weekly for lessons. Seeing her strong theory but no practice, he invited her to his home under the pretext of chores. There, Leela saw her first computer, the glowing box from her dreams. The professor taught her to use it, guiding her through her first real programs. Watching her code come alive was pure magic. He gave her projects, corrected her mistakes, and pushed her thinking. More than a teacher, he was her bridge to a new world. He encouraged her, praised her work ethic, and called her dream noble. With his help, Leela saw a real path forward. He spoke of scholarships and entrance exams. For the first time, her dream felt possible. The impossible began to look achievable. Leela's hope grew stronger with every lesson. After a year of dedicated study and unwavering commitment, Leela's life stood on the precipice of change. The seeds of ambition, carefully sown and nurtured, were about to sprout. Professor Sharma, recognizing Leela's exceptional potential and drive, told her about a prestigious national tech scholarship. He explained how this could be her golden ticket, a chance to break free from the confines of her circumstances and pursue her dreams on a national stage. The selection process was rigorous, designed to identify the brightest minds in the country. It involved a tough online coding test, a formidable challenge that would test her skills and knowledge to their absolute limits, and a series of demanding interviews, where she would have to articulate her passion, her vision, and her unwavering commitment to the world of technology. Competing against thousands of ambitious students from across the nation, each vying for a coveted spot, Leela knew she had to give it everything she had. The stakes were incredibly high. Leela prepared relentlessly, fueled by a burning desire to succeed and a deep-seated belief in her own potential. She knew this was her chance, and she wasn't going to let it slip away. She continued to use the weaving workshop as her cover, a necessary facade to conceal her true ambitions from those who might try to hold her back. She spent every spare moment practicing at the professor's house, poring over coding manuals and tackling complex programming problems, driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge. He coached her on coding, patiently guiding her through the intricacies of algorithms and data structures, helping her hone her skills and refine her understanding, and, crucially, how to share her story, how to articulate her journey and her aspirations in a way that would resonate with the interview panel and showcase her unique perspective. On test day, as she faced the daunting challenge ahead, Leela's hands trembled with a mixture of nerves and excitement. The weight of expectation pressed heavily upon her. But she focused, drawing strength from the countless hours of secret study, the sacrifices she had made, and the unwavering support of Professor Sharma. She poured her heart into every answer, tackling each problem with determination and creativity, showcasing her passion for coding and her unwavering commitment to excellence. Weeks later, after what felt like an eternity of anxious waiting, an email arrived, its subject line hinting at the life-altering news it contained. She'd scored among the highest in the country, a testament to her hard work, her dedication, and her exceptional talent. Her dreams were within reach. Invited to the city for the final round of interviews, a whirlwind of meetings and presentations that would determine her fate. She traveled for the first time, leaving behind the familiar landscapes of her village and venturing into the unknown. Awed by the metropolis, its towering skyscrapers and bustling streets a stark contrast to the quiet simplicity of her rural life. Facing the panel of esteemed judges, she felt a surge of both nervousness and excitement. This was it, the moment of truth. She spoke not of hardship but of passion and persistence, of her unwavering belief in the power of technology to transform lives and her burning desire to contribute to that transformation. They saw her as a force of will, not a victim of circumstance, but a determined and resourceful young woman with the potential to achieve great things. She was awarded the full scholarship, a life-changing opportunity that would open doors she had only dreamed of. Her dream was no longer a secret, a hidden aspiration nurtured in the shadows, but a tangible reality, a beacon of hope for herself and for others like her. Leela had stepped into a new world, a world of opportunity, of challenges, and of endless possibilities. The journey that began in silence, fueled by a quiet determination, was now unstoppable, a testament to the power of dreams and the unwavering spirit of a young woman who dared to believe in herself. News of Leela's success spread through Manjapur. She returned a hero, her parents filled with pride and awe. The elders who once doubted her now spoke of her with respect. Young girls saw new possibilities, inspired to dream beyond tradition. The town library filled with eager students from Manjapur. After earning her degree and a top job, Leela gave back. She built a community center with computers and internet, offering classes for all. Farmers learned new techniques, women sold their crafts online, the village slowly transformed, hope taking root. Leela's courage lit the way for many. Manjapur was no longer forgotten. One girl's dream had changed everything.